All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Hello there.
Dr. Gia,
I'm a little slow.
I'm sorry, you didn't say roll call.
I did not. So I'm going to call the Policy and Academic Committee meeting to order for Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. First order of business is roll call, please, sir.
Dr. Gia.
Here.
Ms. Fertitta. Here. Mr. Wright.
Here. Okay, thank you, sir. First section is policy and procedure area of the agenda. The first item A is to approve revisions to policy A, B, C, B, qualifications for school board members. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. Act 204, effective August 1, 2024. Revised Louisiana Revised Statute 1752 to include the requirement that school board members possess a high school diploma or its equivalent as determined by the Louisiana School Boards Association Secondary Education. The act also included new language that prohibits a person from serving on the school board who has been convicted of or pled no contest to a crime listed in Louisiana Revised Statute 15587. This policy came to us from forethought, has been reviewed by board council, and is recommended for adoption.
All right, so I so move. Ms. Marion second. Any public comment on this item A in policy section? Any board discussion? If none, we can vote. Is everybody hearing okay? The mic seems to be, everybody's got smiles. Perfect.
I might need to bring yours just a little closer to you if you don't mind.
All right. How about now? All right, the policy revision carries. B, to approve revisions to policy B, C, school board member continuing education. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. Act 198, effective August 1, 2024, revised Louisiana Revised Statute 1753 by including special education to the list of training and instruction for school board members that is required by law. This comes to us from forethought, has been reviewed by board council, and is recommended for adoption.
We have a definition what special education is.
So it would be all of the services we provide our special education students. I'm assuming Ms. Delcombe will have to provide training in some capacity to the board at one of our services.
Okay, so just that part of the package has to be with some special ed information specific to what's offered.
Specific to our own.
Which almost, it does happen anyway.
This will actually probably likely be no change for us in terms of what we do. It's just codified in law now that there needs to be special education.
Very good. So I so move, Mr. Myron, for a second. Any public comment? Any board discussion?
I just have one issue in the second paragraph where it references National School Boards Association. Should that be changed in that we are no longer participating in NSBA through LSBA?
I'm not ignoring you, Ms. Duffy. I'm looking for the part. What page?
It's in the second paragraph.
It's up on the big screen.
A little past midway through, it says it's spelled out right under LSBA. It's spelled out National School Boards
So maybe it's
Association.
just saying that you could prescribe to their offerings
National.
and it would count.
Okay.
Is that what we're thinking?
I'm not sure, Dr. Gia, if the LSBA has disavowed training provided by the NSBA, even though we're no longer allowed. So I don't know that the language here would be effective because it's about training provided by NSBA.
Okay.
There are some districts in Louisiana that are still members of the NSBA.
Okay.
All right. Any other board discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. And it carries. C, to approve revisions to policy BCBB, notification of school board meetings, so moved. We'll go Ms. Marion for a second, and we'll go Mr. Martin again.
Yes, sir. Act 617, effective August 1, 2024. Revised Louisiana Revised Statute 4219, rewording the notification method to giving notice rather than what was previously listed as mailing notice. The statute also now requires that notice be given to any member of the public who requests it in the same manner as is given to members of the news media who requests it. It also includes a new requirement that notice be provided to the Commissioner of Administration in a format and manner that allows the Commissioner to post a notice on the Commissioner's website 24 hours prior to the scheduled meeting time. So this has to do with your meetings, the notice of said meetings, and the notification of the public of said meetings. This comes to us from forethought as a recommendation from a change in Louisiana law. It's been reviewed by board council and is recommended for adoption.
Any public comments? Any board discussion?
Question. Commissioner of Administration, that would be you?
I don't think in this format that is me, Ms. Petita. That's
State.
yes.
Any of those commissioners?
You're about
I'll back answer that.
Ms. Gwen takes care of all this. She's saying that this is the specific website that we have to post our meetings to.
Thank you.
And does that change the posting? So we are supposed to post on our website. What do we have to post to as our regular posting?
That's not changing.
Different.
What we have to do to post, everything that we post is not changing. Instead of the prior language saying that it gets mailed to, it just needs to be given notice to. So we no longer have to snail mail is the real change. I want to make sure that I'm saying this right, because Ms. Gwen is there.
Notifications through our official journal will be handled the way that we did. Will still be posted to the website and distributed by email to all email. This is in addition to anyone else who's questioning the agenda. We did it the same way that you all did it.
Okay. So is everybody okay with us progressing on this one? Or y'all didn't hear it? I mean, I realize y'all didn't hear. So she said that pretty much everything's going to stay the same. The only statement that I think changes is that if you personally request, we would put you in an email group and you would receive that as requested. Similar to the news media that could request it and be on our mailing list. So the public would have that opportunity in this change to address request any notices that came up at least 24 hours before it would be submitted. I got you, Ron. You want to come on up, bud?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ron Sapier, 110 Bourgeois Street, Grayson, Louisiana. Can we keep the policy up? Is there any way we can keep the policy up?
Yeah, she'll get it back up.
Okay. Fine. You can let my time take, because I just, yeah, we can go to 3. What's in blue? Going right there. Perfect. Submitting a notice of each meeting to the Commissioner of Administration in a manner in a format that allows the Commissioner's time to post the notice on its website. I think we're striking out prior to and adding on no less than 24 hours before the scheduled, I think it's meetings the next line or something like that. Time of the meeting as required or advised by the Commissioner of Administration. That means you have to submit it to electronically to the Commissioner of Administration, and the Commissioner of Administration is the Louisiana State Commissioner of Administration, who is currently Taylor Barra. That's the question. That's Ms. Gwynn's shaking her head. Okay, that's my question. Thank you. I think it's a great policy change. Legislature did a good job.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any other discussion from the board? All right, hearing none, we can vote. And it carries. Item D, to approve revisions to policy GBA, contracts and compensation. So moved. Ms. Marion will second. Ms. Heman. Thank you.
Good evening. The revisions to policy GBA, contracts and compensation, pertain to, are a result of Act 311 of the 2024 legislative session. The changes include the following. A statement was added to state that salary schedules shall be established and published no later than June 30th of each year. It explains that the salaries included in the salary schedule is the compensation for the duties and responsibilities identified and described in the employee's job description. Further explaining, additional compensation is entitled to any teacher who is not afforded the minimum uninterrupted planning time as required by Louisiana Revised Statute 17434A, and it requires the adoption of a universal supplemental salary schedule that addresses compensation for duties performed by certified employees beyond the scope of their prescribed duties and responsibilities as required by Louisiana Revised Statute 17:418A.
Very good. Thank you. Any public comment? Or any board discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. And it carries. Moving on to item E, to approve revisions to policy GBRIB, sick leave. So moved. And Mr. Myron, second, and we'll go to Mr. Lee on this one.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. This is also an act of the legislature, Act 315, that is to extend the amount of leave that school employees receive for a disability caused by physical contact with a student from 90 days to 1 year. And so it is on page 6, if y'all are looking for the exact spot there, and that is the only change to that particular policy. It's been reviewed by our board attorney, so I'm asking for your approval.
Very good. Any public comment?
Motion, sir.
I missed that?
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did. I've been doing it after I read it. I say I so move, and then Myron was second on that. No, you're
Ron
right.
Sabier, 110 Bourgeois Street, Racine, Louisiana. Did a little illegal research. If you can pull page 6 back up, please. I was looking in the sentence where the change was, and it says any board employee but not bus operator. So I did a little legal research. I've been taught by Mr. LaFont how to do really well. So I went and looked at the 1 year. So I'm going to look at the 17:1200C, and that states, as used in this subpart, disabled or disability means unable to or inhabit to perform the essential functions of the job of a member of a teaching staff or employee who performed at this time of his injury. So that still confused me. So I went and looked up Act 315 itself. So in 315, letter B, an employee of the parish school board of this state, as the word employee is defined in Louisiana Revised Statute 17:1205. who is disabled as defined in Louisiana Revised Statute 17:1200 C. I went and looked up that statute. So employee defined. The term employed as used in Louisiana Revised Statute 1206 through 1206.2 shall be construed to be any person and employee of any parish or school board of the state of Louisiana who is not a teacher or who employment does not require the holding of a certified teacher's degree, teacher's certificate, or who is not employed as a bus operator. So we found out that bus operator is in a different statute, and that's why bus operator is not included in the policy. So a little educational issue, research for y'all. Thanks.
You're right, Ron. Any other public comment? Any board discussion? All right, hearing none, we can vote. And it passes. On to item F, to approve revisions to policy GBRIBB, medical leave assistance program, sick leave bank. Again, Mr. Lee.
Again, this is a change that, due to legislation at the legislature, this is from Act 115. And so this particular act, if you made a change to our policy, if you'll see on the front, that it classifies the different individual classes of employees that we have. And so we clarified it in the original law that was passed by the legislature. They did not specifically spell out this information. And so with this change, it specifically spells out those particular groups and how they would be associated with each of their time. This was also reviewed by our board attorney, and I'm asking for your approval.
I'll get Ms. Marion for the first and Mr. Myron for the second. Any public comment? Any board discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. And it carries. Item G, to approve revisions to policy JGC, Student Health Services, and this is Ms. Delco. So moved, by the way. Ms. Marion, second.
So Act 161, effective May 23rd, 2024, required non-complex health procedures be prescribed by a physician licensed in Louisiana or any other state of the United States. Previously, the prescriptions had to be from physicians licensed in Louisiana or an adjacent state. So this policy has been reviewed by the Special Ed Department as well as the Board Council. All revisions are in order, and we recommend approval.
Okay. Any public comment on this item? Any board discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. And carries. Item H, to consider approving revisions to policy JGCB, immunizations. So moved. Mr. Meyer, will second. We do have I'll let Ms. Delcom please give us your spiel first.
Okay. The immunization policy has been revised to reflect revisions from Act 460 and 467, both effective August 1st, which revised Act 460 added language stating that teachers and administrators may not distinguish between students based on whether or not they've received vaccinations. The following acts are specifically prohibited but are not limited to: determination of eligibility for athletics or extracurricular activities, allowing or denying participation inside or outside the classroom, insurance of surveys relative to vaccination status, and organizing seating arrangements. Act 641 revised the statute to prohibit requiring a student to receive a COVID-19 vaccine as a condition of enrollment or attendance. This policy has been reviewed by the Special Education Department and School Board Council. All revisions are in order, and we are asking for approval.
Very good, thank you. Well, Shannon, you want to come and speak since you put in a nice blue card for us?
My name was really big for you.
Yep.
Forgot your last. I'm Shanna here at Titch, 466 Crossing North Street. Okay, so I looked at the immunization information, and the first page says the LaFouche Parish School Board, the immunization policy, the LaFouche Parish School Board shall require each student entering any school for the first time and at any other time as required by the state to present satisfactory evidence of immunity or to immunization against vaccine prevent. You might want to put my time because I might take a little while. Approved by the State Department of Health and Hospitals. Okay. Or present evidence of an immunization program and process. It says it requires that. Then it says the school board may require immunizations or proof of immunity more extensive than required by the Department of Health and Hospitals, DHH, Office of Public Health. Then it says any student failing to meet the immunization standards shall be prohibited from attending school until such time as the immunization standards are met. And that's not right. That's not accurate. So it does say that we're required. However, down here where it says exceptions, and I feel like if you had put unless you meet one of the exceptions, I feel like that would be more appropriate. But I'm not okay with it saying that they'll be prohibited from entering school. So these two acts that were passed, one by Beryl Amade, failed the first time while it was in Baton Rouge, failed the first time to put this on so parents could see you don't have to have your children immunized for them to be able to play in sports or other extracurriculars, because this says any student failing to meet the immunization standards shall be prohibited from attending school. So that directly sounds like it contradicts this. Then Kathy Edmondson, I spoke with right before I came here to make sure I was on. I didn't want to come and bring something forward and sound stupid. So I spoke with her. She said, absolutely, that shouldn't be in there the way that it is. And then I'm really fired up about this. So I'm sorry, my voice is shaking. So she wrote the second bill, which again failed in Baton Rouge the first time, just to have that the COVID vaccine could not be forced on a student for them to come to school. I got really upset in 2020 I was here about the mask. I was timid about the mask and them, and students staying home if they had COVID-19 or it was thought that they had COVID-19. And I was upset because working with kindergartners, I saw it's not in the mask, and there wasn't an option for the kids not to wear these masks. So that was upsetting to me. So I did research, and what came out is that when they looked at the chances of students getting COVID-19 with the mask off or getting sick with the mask on, they were much more likely to get sick with the mask on because bacteria grew inside of those masks. So by looking up research, I could see, okay, I felt the same kind of emotion about this. Had I known my children didn't have to get vaccinated the first day that they were born in the hospital, I wouldn't have given them vaccines. I think there's some things that don't, but I never knew there was an option. When I sent my child to St. Genevieve, I didn't know she didn't have to get vaccines, so I gave her vaccines. I didn't know there wasn't an option. There are children who are now hurt because of vaccines. I don't know if you know, but there's no adequate vaccine safety studies test that has ever been done. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. There are 0 long-term vaccine safety trials. They don't exist. Scientists have now made several this is from Health Freedom, Louisiana. Scientists have made several breakthroughs and groundbreaking discoveries in the past few years. New research provides scientific proof and an undeniable clear picture of how vaccines can cause autism. I have a sheet right here that shows in 1983, there were 7 vaccines. 1983, there were 7 vaccines, 24 doses required. In 2024, this year, which is 40 years later, there are 15 vaccines with 81 doses required. That's from 24 doses. We're doing okay. We're not bad. I didn't have all. But then now it's 81. This right here, this ladder goes from 1988 to 2017, and it shows as vaccines were given, the number of vaccines versus childhood chronic illness and developmental disability prevalence. So that's a direct, clear shot right there. The reason I went into so much detail is because I feel like every parent should know you have an option. If this is not comfortable for you and your child, they can still come to school. You don't have to quit your job, stay home to homeschool because you can't afford, if they can't afford to stay home. In here in the 6th paragraph, there are exceptions, and it does say no student seeking to enter any public school in LaFouche Parish shall be required to comply with the provisions of this written policy if the student or a doctor or the parent just gives a dissent and says, I'm not comfortable with this, or they don't need this, or whatever it is. Now they come to school, and it's fine. But to me, the reason I gave all this information is because I feel like people make such a big issue. It's almost like not giving your kids vaccines, but it's just a personal issue. If you're not sure about the science and you want to wait, it shouldn't seem like you absolutely have to, or you can't go to school. And so for me to read this, any student failing to meet the immunization standards shall be prohibited from attending school until such time as the immunization standards are met. If booster injections under transferring students for the diseases enumerated on the state schedule are advised. And look, these are recommended vaccines, the 81. So these are recommended. It's not mandatory, yet it sounds like we're making our kids get this. Like the way it's worded on here, I think that we can make it a lot more clear just by adding at the top. Or if you meet one of the exceptions, because the first thing I would have done is go right to the exceptions and to see if that's me. That's what I would have done. Y'all know how parents of 7 kids do. They sign, and they go all the way down. And some people miss that because if it says you're prohibiting from attending school, if you're not immunized, to me that's end of story, done. I just think it could be worded where parents know they have an option. I'm very, very passionate about that. I've seen kids get hurt. I've seen pictures. There's a parent who had triplets, brought their kids in, fine. Within 18 hours, all 3 of them no longer could talk. All 3 of them. That's statistically not possible. So I'm not trying to convince you vaccines are bad. I'm trying to say, if I'm not comfortable with that, just let me know that they can still come to school. And I think it could be easily just reworded that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come on down, please.
408 Community Drive in Thibodeau. And I just want to back up again what Shannon says. I am very uncomfortable with the way it's being stated. it gives the illusion that they're not coming. So many of our parents get the notices coming from school. They don't read all that stuff through. You guys all know that. I mean, we all know that. They may never get to that point. And I don't know where you guys are in believing what's out there and everything else, but more research could be done to understand that this is being a big question that's going on now, the immunizations. This is not new. I mean, it's not, this problem has been out there. When I was working special education a million years ago, we went to seminar about all the autism rates and everything that are happening. I believe it's real. We need to question these things. I'm not saying you should, any parent, I won't question a parent if they decided to do that, but I think it's our job to at least state it very clearly in our policy and make our teachers in our schools, individual schools, understand that it is not a requirement. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any board discussion?
Okay, the word in the changed? That's us.
Yes and no. This policy is a byproduct of a whole bunch of laws. If you go down to the bottom of the page, the Department of Health requires immunizations. The Department of Health also gives exceptions. This policy speaks to both. And this is a confusing land you live in when Louisiana laws are written the way that they do. If you go to our cell phone policy, the first sentence says, no student shall bring a cell phone to school, period. Second sentence, if they do, it's got to be in a book bag off. That's how the law is written. This is how Louisiana law is written. The paper that we send home to parents is not this policy. The paper that we send home articulates what immunizations the kid has, but has a very clear section in there that outlines if you have a belief or a physician or somebody who says you don't want to do it, then you simply give me a piece of paper that says my kid's not taking it and your kid can come to school. I have not, in my experience as a principal, personally had families who were confused about that. I think that those folks that were not vaccinated.
They don't think it's an issue. They don't, I
Hold
really
on,
think
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone who asked a principal if I'm risk averse to these vaccines, I don't want to take these vaccines, can my kid still come to school? It is my belief they'd be told, as the policy is written, provide me a written reason why your kid's not coming or you don't want to give your kid and they come to school. We've got a lot of policies that, unless you read the whole thing, will leave you less than completely informed. And I would caution against changing the wording of a document as provided to us from our attorney relative to state law.
And this mostly pertains to students who are entering school. When the children are little, and by that time, I think parents have made decisions, and I think they know their rights, that if they don't want their child immunized as an infant, I think they've already made those decisions. And in the capacities that I've served, I've never had any issues with it. They all provided letters saying that the child did not want their child having immunizations, and we put them in school. So I don't, like you said, this is policy, but the paper that the parents get is not like this.
Yes, as a former lower elementary principal with children entering school, I had many parents who, I say many, I had several parents who asked about it because they had already had their conviction or what they believed in. And we always provided them with an explanation. The secretaries of the schools are very versed in that. And we never had any. And actually, students can come to school without being vaccinated, and then the nurse checks all of that and sends home notices to the parents. And then if a parent has a question, they call the school and we provide them with the information that is needed at the time. I never had anybody angry or, they always got the information that they wanted.
Let's go, Mr. Henry, and then you want to punt the bucket? I'll punt the bucket. All right.
I see the concern with the last sentence in the first paragraph saying any student failing to meet the immunization standard shall be prohibited from attending school until such time as the immunization standards are met. It seems like a harsh statement to me. It's a strong statement. But then several paragraphs down, we refer to exceptions. So I get the confusion. I get that it seems like double talk in a way. So I wonder if maybe that one statement could be edited. I don't have a suggestion as to how, but that's what's standing out to me as a strong contradiction is that last sentence in the first paragraph.
And it's over prohibited. Let's go, Mr. Henry, and then.
I don't know if I agree with the ladies as far as their view on immunizations. You know, at one time, measles was just about eradicated because everybody was immunized. I remember getting my polio vaccine at school. Yes. I had my little scab right there. I committed that much polio after that. But I'm a firm believer it's a parent's choice. I think, and I understand that last sentence, as Buffy said. I mean, you put in parentheses, please note the following exceptions. As stated in our policy, I would suggest that we table it. I know I'm not part of the committee. See if that would meet the standards of our council. And if he thinks it is, I think that would make everybody where we are.
Stephen, please.
So I have 2 points I'd like to make. First off, the last sentence that states prohibited from attending school until such time as the immunization standards are met. I think we'd be better serviced to go ahead and look at this. I think that the word instead of met maybe should be addressed, meaning that you're looking at it, you're addressing it, and maybe the person does fall into those exceptions, and that's a case. At this point, you're saying that they have to meet the standards. If we at least say addressed, it could say we are looking at them. Not only are we looking at the standards, but we're also looking at the exceptions. My second point to that is I would inquire that possibly we could do something on our webpage where we have information. Maybe we can have the information that the parents are provided that says, okay, here are your options when it comes to immunizations, like the document that the parents are provided with. So if someone was researching our parish to come and bring their student into our school, it could be something that's easily found on our homepage that says, hey, you're going to bring your child in. Here are your options. If you don't want to have vaccinations, here's what you need to do. I'm not a parent, but I agree that the parent should have the choice. So instead of maybe going about the way and changing all these things, maybe we should focus on what information we are putting out public, easy for people to find as they are coming into our district.
I kind of I am in agreement with Henry where when we get to that sentence, any student failing to meet, put an asterisk down here with exceptions. It draws your attention, and we're really not changing the policy because according to this, is not only the legislature, but it's the Office of Public Health. This has been through forethought, so there are many other things. So that would be a very simple change without changing wording or anything. Just this is what you have, and let's see it down here in red, right?
I do agree with Mr. Henry that I think that this may be something we should at least look at before we just stop agreeing to how it should go through. I'm not on the committee, but I do think maybe we should consider tabling the item so that it can have a little bit further discussion or further research.
Okay. All right, so now it's my turn to comment. So I think content-wise, I don't think our goal is to change the content. Our goal is to clarify the word. So I move that, obviously we have a first and second, so the motion is on the tape for us to discuss. I would like to move that we table this item after further review with council and possibly board administration or school board administration to come up with more clarifying words, help it flow better, because it is a combination of, okay, we're addressing this statute, and it all probably happened many years apart, right? And so we can make this better. And so I so move that. And Miss Marion seconds that. Again, I have to open it up to public discussion or comment. You're welcome to come on up.
Four-way community drive in Gizzo. And I'm not an objection to what you're saying at all, but I do want to say, y'all got to all remember, in the last few years, we had children, grown young adults, staying out of university because this was misunderstood. So when we say, oh, they learn this in the first years and everything, not everybody learns it. And I'm talking about educated people. I had people get in touch with me since school started. What is the policy again? What is the deal about the schools and universities? Because they force us to take these things? The answer is no. So just keep in mind, it's not that simple for everybody out there. You guys are in the education system. You read stuff about the education system. And certainly we have to go by the law, I think. And it's very confusing. But we can make it clearer for the parents. So thank y'all for those in support of tabling it. I think that's something at least to address and look into all the different ways we can be handled. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And it looks like Mr. Ron beat you to your arm, so he'll go first, and then you go again, Ms. Shannon.
Ron Saki, 110 Bourgeois Street, Grayson, Louisiana. If you pull the policy back on the screen, I won't be telling.
That's a cough or that's a sneeze over there? Because I want to say bless you.
It's a cough. It's a continuous cough.
I'm gonna bless you anyway.
But you can bless me anytime you want.
I would make a recommendation to adopt the substitute motion to table the policy. And I think a simple change is after any student failing to meet, all you need to put is see exceptions below. That's my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon? Shannon?
Shannon Heritage for 666 Housing North. I'm so excited that y'all are looking into this. I think it will be so much clearer if you just add the exceptions below or star or whatever. I love that. I did want to say that this is the state statute, and nowhere in here does it say that they're prohibited. So I'm just letting you know, I don't think that language has to be used because it's not. If you want me to leave this with you, I can. So in the state statute, it's not there. And there is an easy to get to on the state website, the Louisiana Beliefs website. You click a button and you go straight to a form that gives you where you can opt out of immunizations. If you want, if I love your idea of having something online, so you could just click here to opt out of immunizations. Click and it'll take you straight to the state website. And I probably wouldn't have put my kid in private school. I would have put him in school here if I would have known, if I knew that, like if it said that.
You still can.
I'm homeschooling now. But anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that could be a really easy fix. I love that idea. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any board discussion?
One last comment. I just think, I understand what you're saying about the statute, but the Department of Health may have said something different. And you see that with the legislature and different departments throughout this, they cross. And that's what happens. That's what happens.
There are 5 statutes referenced in this one document and 2 different handbooks.
All right.
I have a comment too.
Yes, please.
Like you said, the Department of Health at one time required if your child did not have vaccinations and someone in their classroom had, like, let's say chicken pox, there's a 21-day window. So the child who did not have the chickenpox vaccination would have to stay home for 21 days, according to the Department of Health. So that was consequences, different ways of, from that. So this is my comment.
Well, we kind of at this point, so we're gonna go ahead. Yeah, well, and look, we appreciate you, and we're up to vote, so we're gonna go ahead and vote. Shannon, I appreciate it. So we can vote on electronic, so, let's go ahead and vote. The motion reads to table the item for further review by board council to clarify the language and the flow of the policy. All right, let's vote. Oh, y'all waiting on me? I'm gonna vote too. All right, and that motion carries. Thank you all for y'all's input. Item I, to approve revisions to policy JGCD, administration of medication. Again, Ms.
The administration of medication policy has been revised to reflect revisions of Act 161, which was, let's see, as discussed from the Student Health Services Policy, Act 161 changed the language. It talked about prescriptions must be from physicians licensed in Louisiana, whereas school boards were not previously required to have a policy addressing the maintenance of a supply of naloxone and its use. Act 378 revised that statute to require such a policy to be adopted on the use of naloxone and other opioid antagonists. The act defines trained school employees other than nurses who are authorized to administer naloxone in emergencies. This has been reviewed by the special ed department and the council. We're asking for approval.
All right, can I get a second? First with Mr. Meyer, and a second with Mr. Freeman. Any public comment? Any board discussion? So Ms. Delcom, it's identified who the additional people beside the nurses to administer this? That doesn't plan
It just
to.
says trained school employees. We have not gone through that discussion yet, because there is a training that would be provided from an outside agency. But that discussion hasn't moved yet at this moment.
All right, any other board discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. Motion carries. Item J, to consider approving revisions to policy JGCFA, behavioral health services for students. I so move. Mr. Meyer in second, and Ms. Delcom.
Act 745 included several changes to be reflected in the recently recoded policy behavior health support for students. Some of those revisions include that providers must be providing medically necessary services authorized by an independent third-party payer, allowing providers who are licensed, certified, or registered by the Louisiana Behavior Analysis Board provided documentation of having passed a criminal background check and are in good standing with the board to forego an additional criminal background check, allowing services to be provided at any part of the school day, including instructional time, adding definitions for independent third-party payer and medically necessary services. This policy has been reviewed by the special education department, the board council. Our revisions are in order, and we're asking for your approval.
All right, very good. So I so move, or no, we got the first and second, I believe. Any public comment? Everybody shuffling in their seats over there, you're not coming up to the front, huh? No deal. I understand. All right, any board discussion? All right, since none, we can vote. And the motion carries. New business, to consider approving revisions to the job descriptions for the positions of principal, assistant principal, and dean of students. Mr. Lee.
Good evening again. Previously, I came before you and we discussed the changes for teachers. This is the change that's going to have to occur for our principals, assistant principals, and deans of students because of the new accountability system that we're having for our observations for our individuals in the school system. So just like we had to change job descriptions to relate to what their observations were for the teachers, same thing here for your principals, assistant principals, and your dean of students. You're going to see a whole lot of things taken out of. That's the old conference information. All the blue is the new leads information for all three of those. I'm asking for your approval.
So I so move. Ms. Marion second. Any public comment? Any board discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. The motion carries. Item B, to approve revisions to the 2024-2025 academic school calendar reflecting the change of the first and second end of the marking periods and the distribution of the first 9 weeks report cards. So moved. Mr. Meyer, second, and Mr. Martin.
So, Mr. Chairman, as you know, we recently had to cancel school for 4 days. This simply backs the marking period up to the first 9 weeks by 2 of those 4 days. To split the difference between the 4 missed days between the first marking period and the second marking period, and it backs the report cards to be distributed to October 18th for the first marking period. The second 9 weeks will still end on the last day before the Christmas holiday.
Any public comment? Any board discussion? All right, since you know, we can vote. Motion carries. Section 4, item A, supervisory staff updates. Secondary education, Mr. Delphin.
I'm not going to talk as much. I'll try anyway. So we had a great start to this school year. All of our schools are fully staffed at the moment. We've had really good PD with our teachers to start the year. Our curriculum facilitators did a great job. On course is being implemented at all of our schools. We're beginning to take our first rounds of assessments in on course. Katie McCarthy and the IT department did a fantastic job of getting everybody trained up on that. And the data that we're receiving from those assessments are very much more in depth than what we had previously. So it's been a really great move in that direction. Our principals and assistant principals are moving to a new evaluation system, as Mr. Lee just referenced, leads. So our PD and training with the principals has been focused on that transition and how that transition, that new evaluation system for them really fits in nicely with our district priorities for instruction. I'm not going to go through all of the little updates about English, Math, Science, and Social Studies, but we do remain busy implementing new curriculum for some of those areas, and also welcoming in new facilitators for math and science. And they're both Courtney Sinak in science, Rainey Terrebonne in math, both coming in, doing a really good job of getting up to speed and supporting teachers and supporting principals in their mission. In the world of career and technical ed, we're developing a new round of apprentices in welding and now also for the first time in diesel mechanics. And while we're doing that, Ms. Bonnie LaFour is already looking ahead to other opportunities to create apprenticeships, this time in automotive and electrical. So she's aligning those curriculums as needed to be able to get that off the ground soon. She's also working with Fletcher to align dual enrollment courses between our students and Fletcher. And this is going to be of a benefit to our students because they're going to be able to get more dual enrollment credit for the courses that they're already taking. So it gets those kids even closer to leaving us with, in some cases, a technical diploma that they receive for free at 18 years old, and they're already finished. And then lastly, in terms of athletics, we've been in close communication with Mr. JT Terrell, the athletic director for Nichols State. We felt it important to look at developing our coaching staffs at our middle and high schools. And Nichols has agreed to host a coaching clinic on site at Nichols State for all of our coaches, put on by their coaches. So our young coaches are going to get up close and personal with those college coaches, as well as Mr. Terrell as the college athletic director speaking to our athletic directors about how he runs his program, what the expectations are, and how to manage coaches and athletes and things of that nature. So we're really excited about getting that off the ground in December. That's it.
Sure.
And that would be like volleyball coaches and basketball coaches, or is this a?
There's only a couple of sports that we offer that Nichols does not offer,
Okay.
like swimming, for example. But if you go down the list, they have just about everything that we have.
Right.
So we're even talking about Nichols golf coach, spending some time with our golf coaches, cross country, track, volleyball, softball, baseball, all of it. So, yeah, we're excited.
Regarding the 10th graders visiting the CMC, is this across the board? Do they all go automatically, or do they all have the option to go? How is that handled?
I believe they all get the option to go. And the idea behind that is showing, between 10th and 11th grade is really where you have to start making some decisions about what your track is going to be. So Ms. Bonnie and the staff at CMC really get into helping them understand what their options are as they move forward.
Because I have a 10th grader and he still doesn't quite know what his direction is. He knows it's college, but the focus isn't there yet. So I think that's a good, definitely a good thing. I also have an 8th grader who's going to be visiting CMC tomorrow.
That's right. We do
So
have
he's
8th
really
graders as
excited
well.
about that. And then with the athletic partnership with Nichols, I think that's a great idea. I think that our coaches are really going to appreciate that. And, good job on that.
Absolutely. We think it's important.
All right. Moving on to curriculum, district data, and accountability, Dr. Berlin.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So in the wonderful world of accountability, students are going through a data certification process. This is something we do every year. It gives the schools an opportunity to review the data that's going to be coming, that is a part of the SPS calculations that and their SPS scores that will be released in November. We're still waiting on progress index. The state has not given us a date when we will get that last piece of accountability data. This week is the last week that we are going to be working on the beginning of the year K3 screener, which was formerly known as DIBBLS. The state gave us a couple of more days because we were closed last week due to the hurricane. I have also been playing around with projected SPS, even though we're lacking that last progress index piece of it, and also looking at the new accountability model and what our current status will look like in 25-26 when we have the new accountability model in place. Because we're lacking some pieces with that new accountability, specifically what the cutoff scores will be, it's a little challenging, but I'm still working on it. Leadership Lanyap is something that we've offered in the past, and I'm
working on updating that program and building a new program. So in the past, we've offered professional development to aspiring principals. Most of the participants have been assistant principals. So we're going to update that offering, and we're also creating a new offering for the deans of students to give them a chance to engage in some professional development. I usually survey the new participants to see where their areas of need are, what they'd like to work on and learn more about, so that's where the update and the revision is coming in. But for the deans, I'm actually working with child welfare and attendance, Mr. Delphin and Ms. Hodson, to put together a program for them. We're going to focus on discipline, communication, being consistent, how to build a positive, sustainable culture and climate. And then I'm also working with our Grow a Ploosh participants who finished up all their summer coursework. They're in the thick of teaching students, and so I'm visiting all of the participants to check on them to see if they have the support they need to be successful. I've paired them up with mentors. The mentors are meeting with them weekly, and we're as some of the instructors that taught over the summer are going to go in and do a fall observation like an administrator would, but it's purely for feedback. And then we'll meet with the participants and give them the feedback so that they can continue to grow.
Yes, Ms. Val?
I just want to say with the DIPPLES assessment, Ms. Hudson did it, and I know you gave her some information on that, did a great job with the video on grades for the third graders, so thank y'all for that.
All right, and special education, Ms. Delphin.
Hello, y'all miss me?
Come on back.
All right. So we have great things happening in the special education department and the Pupil Appraisal Center. I'm going to mostly hit on the things that we've just been doing for our professional development days because they've been very powerful. We've had a lot of good positive feedback. So the first days when we came back to school in August, we met by their discipline. So we had significant disabilities teachers together, we had high school together, we had middle school, and they really felt like they got a lot out of it because we were speaking to just what was happening in their area. And so we talked about district expectations. And so some of the expectations that we were moving to is moving to electronic charting. And so the teachers and the paras would be utilizing Google to do daily charting, which is going to be available then for everyone to see immediately. And through that, we provided each para, because teachers already had, I think we're there already, but each one was getting either an iPad or a laptop to utilize to be able to do that, which also allows them to check their emails when schedules go out through the day, take their safety tests, anything else like that. We've had a few little squawks here and there, but overall, they're liking it because it's meaningful, it's powerful, and you're not having to do more work later. We also are implementing our structure for our significant disabilities classrooms K-12. And so that's some of the expectations, how we're going to use our curriculum, given some PD on unique learning, and then what should your schedule look like, and having principals understand what your look for should be when you're going into all of these, having high expectations for all students when you come into curriculum. Then September 3rd, we had a ton of PD going on, and I was running all over the district, and it was amazing. So first of all, a lot of our stuff that we did all those RFPs on when y'all got to visit with me all those other months ago, are finally moving forward, and we have the program. So we did a lot of the introduction PD for Goldbook. Goldbook was the one for the special ed teachers, which was going to help with progress monitoring, help with writing the IEP goals, help with getting some of the charting pieces done. Overall, I think that they understood. A lot of them were trying to jump a little too fast and not letting them explain the whole thing because they already want to know where to go with it. And I said, let's slow it down and just learn it, and then we're going to go. So we have some follow-up on there. FastBridge, we revisited it and retaught to the intervention teachers at middle school. And I think that they really appreciated that because now they have an understanding of the why behind some of the things that we're asking them to do for interventions at that middle school level. The counselors received some PD from Second Steps, and we also did crisis updates. Principals and pupil appraisal staff came up with some new components for our crisis updates, which kind of gave good talking points when you're in that crisis, so you wouldn't have to, as a principal, you don't want to have to think about what decisions to make. And it kind of said like, hey, here's an email you should send. Hey, this is what you should do with your faculty. And it was a combined effort. And then the counselors also received that. The speech therapist did a great IEP deep dive. They had great conversations, and they have a PD for the whole year already, kind of focusing specifically on the needs of what we need in the district. Our OTs and PTs work together. We're going to be doing district-wide sensory rooms, and so they were basically setting like what our structure is going to look like, no matter where you go, and then we'll change it up for the students' needs as we go. And PAC, we worked on the law updates. As I keep presenting to you different laws that impacts our day-to-day in pupil appraisal, and so we needed to make sure that they understood a lot of what those changes we're going to be doing, and Jim Shorter does an excellent job providing the updates for that. And then October 15th, we're going to be working on something for evaluations. I'm very excited. I'm like nerd excited about it. So we're going to be utilizing the liaisons and all the pupil appraisal staff to teach the teachers how to take the evaluations we give and write an IEP that's going to be useful in the classroom. So basically it is, I have the evaluation, now what do I do? And we're going to go step by step and gradual release of the program and teaching specifically. When the ed diagnostician does this, this is what it means, this is how you implement it in your classroom. And because we're doing it, we have this great tool, but not everybody understands how to make it go into the classroom where the students are actually learning. So I'm excited about that. We're going to start working next week and getting all that expertise out there into the world. The nurses do a training at Nichols in October, and all the principals and the teachers I put high school, it's not high school, it's middle school. Lexi is finally getting kicked off, and they're very excited about this program. We had a lot of principal presentations today, and I think all of them spoke to being that this is going to help them a lot. The kids like it, the teachers see it, and it's got a lot of good things for small group. So all the RFPs are moving forward with positive impact. And the last thing, we have awesome things going on in special ed and pupil appraisal. And Ms. Bolton started spotlights for LaFouche Parish, and pupil appraisal staff member, Ms. Holly Switzer, got the first shout out, and we're super proud of her and excited. She was actually nominated through shout outs from principals, and she does an excellent job showcasing what we're all about in pupil appraisal staff. So thank y'all.
And closing it out, Ms. McKinney.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think your last IT update was maybe in March when Ms. Katie McCarthy probably presented some stuff about OnCourse. So that has, of course, has been a major project for me coming in, and Ms. Christy Burkle and Ms. Katie McCarthy have done an amazing job, as Mr. Delta mentioned. When Ms. Katie talked to y'all, she talked about what they were gonna do in the summer, and then they did it. So I'm here to tell you they did it, and they did a good job. And then the first weeks of school, so of course when you take a training, you learn all the information, but then when you sit down to do it, it's not the same. So when they sat down to do it those first few weeks of schools, the emails, the calls, Katie and Christy were constantly on responding to everything. I helped out as much as I could. Of course, I was still learning the program too. So, but everything that goes wrong is a way for me to learn. So it's working out. We did have a little hiccup with school status integration, but we worked through it. Both OnCourse and school status were very responsive to our needs. I'd send them a list. This is the problems we have, and they would look at it and get back to it. So that worked out good. Our department has received positive feedback about the assessment platform. And then we have support for families on downloading and using the OnCourse Connect app. The communications department also did a video on August 29th with Ms. Katie McCarthy explaining all of that. We also had a couple of library paras that were new to the district, so we offered a Destiny PD on the September PD day that was done at LCO. Ms. Molly Bourgeois, who's the media specialist at LCO, provided that. She did an amazing job. Transportation and Safety Department, we collaborate a lot with both of them on the cameras, both checking the ones in the buses. At Mr. Arnold's request, we're doing it once in 9 weeks. And then for the Safety Department,
We had some webinars that Mr. Bro had set up. With the principals, they had 3 choices. We did like the same one for 3 weeks in a row, so they had an option to attend, and those went well. We're also updating a map feature, which allows live detection of people and vehicles on campus. So you can actually calculate how many people are in and out of a building, as well as track intruder movements. Hopefully we never have to do that, but you would be able to do it very easily with this map feature. Cybersecurity, continual support, blocking, and preventative measures when incidents occur to prevent further compromise. I'm focusing on teacher devices, trying to get a good inventory. We've developed a process for damages, and a plan for maintaining this benefit to our teachers is in the works. And then we have tech specialists. We have all our positions filled with our most recent hire completing his training this week. So each school should be able to receive adequate support for their tech issues that arise. That's it.
All right, no other business, we're adjourned.